G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and here we go with another daily race combination. One from a couple of weeks ago. We're at Sardinia Road Track A in the reverse direction, so Sardinia Road Track A2 in Group 4. Now this daily race C was a combination that they'd never done before, at a track that I've never driven before, and I decided to choose a car that I've never used before. So a lot of new things in this one, but it turned out to be a good one. Obviously, we've got 27 minutes of it, so it better be good. So let's get into the first race. Now, the track here has a very interesting corner. It's turn 1, which is a very, very fast kink in the straight, heading into a braking zone for a sharp right-hander. And we're going to see said corner now as we get onto the main straight here at the start of this race. We're behind the Peugeot, good car in a straight line. We're going to get into the slipstream here. This corner here, we're on lap 1, so we're not at full speed, but you can imagine the kind of accidents that are going to happen through there. We've got a Viper up in the lead, driven by a gentleman called I Am Awesome 101, and we're going to see how that Viper fares in this race here. But the top 10 leaderboard here for this race here was actually had a good mix of cars in it, and there was a McLaren 650S sitting in about 6th place on the top 10. I thought, you know what, I've never driven that car before, so let's give it a go. We're going to see what happens coming up into turn 7 here. Braking zone starts before turn 6, so it's a very tricky braking zone into that sharp right-hander there. Got another McLaren behind, and you can see the pair up ahead are just streaking away as we head down the hill through the flowing turns 8 and 9. 9 coming up, of course. Peugeot looking up the inside of that Viper up ahead, but the Viper pulls in ahead as they head through the left-hander there into the braking zone for turn 10. A very long right-hander as well, and you see the Viper slides very deep, almost comes back across the track, and I just managed to nip up the inside on the exit. We're going to head through the flip-flop now, which is the turns 11 and 12. Turn 11 being this one, and then when you sacrifice turn 11 actually, so you can get a flat-out run through turn 12, but I did run slightly deep, so there's a bit of a lift on the exit there. So the Peugeot's promoted up into first position. I am promoted up into second position. Viper falls in behind. I'm going to head into the final corner now. Another tricky braking zone as you're braking through a corner on the entry as well, and then we're going to head onto the main straight, stick into the slipstream of the Peugeot. And if you have a look on the leaderboard on the top left corner of your screen, I Am Awesome has dropped down to 6th position now, 7th position in that Viper, so he's obviously had an absolute shocker of a first lap. We're going to head through turn 1 at full speed now. We're going to see how fast and how furious it really is. Very close to that wall, my goodness, nearly absolutely killed myself on that wall there into the braking zone for turn 2. Viper just misses the apex slightly, but not to worry. Going to skip ahead to lap 3, heading through turn 1. We can probably predict what's going to happen here. Actually, no, I was going to say I think the Peugeot nearly crashed, but no, it was dead incorrect at that point there. The McLaren, by the way, feels absolutely amazing. I have no idea why I'd never driven this car before. Very slightly biased towards oversteer, so it just slides ever so slightly on the exit of corners just to straighten the car up. It's absolutely beautiful when you get dead right. But you see we're very close to this Peugeot catching up through these tight series of corners here. Looking up the inside through turn 5 there, and then through turn 6 he brakes really early for that corner and absolutely R4M him into the bin. He's absolutely binned it, but he's managed to keep first position. I get myself a penalty and I allow him to keep that position, but I really did feel he broke really hard and really early unnecessarily. Unfortunately, that means we're going to have to serve the penalty, and it's on the exit of turn 12 here as we head up this bit of a straight here. We're going to slow down for a second worth of time back onto the power. We're going to lose a position to the other Peugeot there, and hopefully that doesn't mean we lose slipstream down the straight, as these Peugeots are really good in a straight line, so we're not going to be able to catch up down the straight if we're out of slipstream range. 1.2 seconds behind near enough, so that is slipstream range here. But you see there starts a bit of a Peugeot civil war here, and they start going ham at each other coming through turn 10, heading into turn 11. We're going to see what chaos ensues here. The Peugeot on the white Peugeot brakes really early and leaves the door really open. I have nowhere else to go but up the inside. I'm at the apex as well, so A bit of a strong move, but I think it was fine. He flashing his lights at me. He's not too happy about it. I probably wouldn't be either, but he clearly just forgot to turn in, and so, you know, I had nowhere else to go. But that's fine. Up into second place. We're going to fast forward down the straight now. We've caught up to this Peugeot again, so I think clearly at this point it's quite clear that we are faster than him. We probably would be in the lead by now if it weren't for that penalty. And coming up into the braking zone for 7 through turn 6, he brakes really early again and turns in very late, leaving about a car width on the apex there, and he gets a poor run down into the downhill fast flowing section into the slipstream here. But you see, he had that mistake on the exit, and I'm in the slipstream and he still managed to keep ahead. I'm looking on the right hand side of him there as we head through turn 9. He just closes the door on me. Very strong defense there, but in his defense, he probably did not know I was sticking my car there, and he moved across to take a racing line through turn 9. But yeah, very strong defense there, but that's fine. No penalties. We're all survived, still in position, so it's all good. Absolutely all G. So we're going to head down the straight in the slipstream once again, heading through turn 1. We're going to be quite close in the slipstream, which of course means that slight bit of dirty air, which causes that little bit of extra understeer, which is absolutely deadly through turn 1 here. So we lift off really early, and he actually clips the wall on the exit of turn 1 as well. So we're going to nip up the inside into the braking zone of turn 2, and then we're going to get that move firmly up into the lead. How good. We're about half a second ahead already, and we do know we were faster than him. We did have the fastest lap at one point, lap 4, 150.3. I Am Awesome nips that fastest lap though with a 49.7, but ultimately it was a victory by a good few seconds there, nearly 4 seconds. We're going to see the driver rating as well, which I've introduced in this video here, sitting at about 42,800. So this race kind of turned into a bit of a DR builder for me, to be honest, because it seemed like I was just really up to the pace, and I was just really good around this track as well. And we're going to actually go through a qualifying lap now. Disclaimer, I did actually improve this qualifying lap after this load of races, but I actually didn't do another race with my new qualifying time. So I'm going to show you the one that led to these races here. So you can see we're actually got a new my record of 149.8. We're going to come across the line now. It is going to be improvement here, 149.5, but this lap here was my fastest lap before the races that I'm showing you. So through turn 1, lifting off and turning in, slight tap of the brakes just on the first arrow sign on the right hand side before turn 1, and then coming into turn 2 we're going to be braking on the break in the wall on the right hand side beyond the initial barrier. Meet that apex nicely. There's that bit of oversteer I'm talking about as well. Car just oversteers so beautifully. Coming into turn 3 now, we're going to be turning in, lifting off and turning in just on the end of the yellow or orange and blue barrier, and then it's all flat out up through here. And then coming into turn 6, the brake is over turn 7, we're braking just before the yellow machinery on the left hand side, and then we're going to be sliding on the brakes through turn 6, slowing it right down into turn 7, and then getting onto the power in a similar fashion to turn 2, using that slight bit of oversteer. We actually get a little bit of a poor exit though, and you see we're losing time down this straight here, and you know, of course we want to take a nice smooth line of least resistance through these flowing corners here. Just clip the grass there, that's kind of okay. Braking just on that bit of a construction wall on the left hand side beyond the barrier for turn 10, and letting the car roll through the midpoint of the corner, and then on the power on the exit. Coming into turn 11, braking just before the shadow that the 50 metre board leaves on the ground. Nice and patient through here, so we want to get onto the power and not lift coming through turn 12. We had to slightly there just fall off the edge of the curb, so probably needed to sacrifice turn 11 a little bit more. This is turn 13 now, a little bit of a lift through here to get a better angle through turn 14, and then gently onto the brakes for 15. We want to be nice and deep into that apex there, and then onto the power nice and early, using all that blue and red and white curb. On the exit there, heading down the straight, we're 5 tenths up on a 49.5. It's going to be almost a 48, but we cross the line with a 49.055, which is fine. I ended up improving that to a 149.68 something, which is, you know, a solid lap, but that was after these races here. That actually puts us on pole position here, which is good, obviously. Pole position is never a bad thing, unless you're actually on Tokyo Expressway East Loop. You probably actually want to be in second place on that. But never mind, we'll come back to the race now. We're going to be starting in first position. We've got a lovely chap behind me, Nabs3 Rick. We're going to have to keep an eye on him. He's in the red Honda NSX. So he's going to be kind of a good rival for this race as well. And we're going to see the start of the race now. You see, we've actually got a massive gap to Nabs behind in that NSX there. He's a much bigger gap than I felt that he had on third place at the start of the race there. Just weaving slightly to warm those tyres up for turn 1. Not at full speed, so it's not as deadly there. But heading into turn 2, just going slightly defensive just before the braking zone. Someone shooting up the inside there, just grazes across our nose, and he gets discharged on the exit of the corner there. So we lost that position and for a short period of time, but it was in vain as we got that position up very quickly again. We're going to come up into turn 6 and 7. Turn 6, the braking zone here, and then turn 7, the right-hander here. Looking on the radar, I get absolutely R4M moved by Nabs there, and he just shoves me into the wall again for good measure. That was, I think he made a mistake, but he didn't give me the position back, which of course you would probably do at that point there. So, you know, yes, he probably made a mistake, and that's okay. People make mistakes, I make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes. But he didn't give me the position back, so it was a blatant punt off the track, whether it was an accident or not. And I'm down into 7th off pole position. Audi dives down the inside on turn 10 and just R4Ms that Ferrari completely into the wall. I managed to make up those few positions there up into 6th position. And then we're going to head into the flip-flop now. Penalty being served up ahead. I'm defensive on the entry to turn 11, as we don't want to lose any positions up the inside there. Of course, that being an overtaking opportunity, we do have to be wary of people trying to get up the inside there. The Peugeot, driven by Toshizo JP, serves his penalty there, and we're up into 5th position. So it could be a lot worse. So you've got Nabs immediately ahead, about 2.8 seconds up the road. Hopefully we can just get a good exit from the final corner, which we actually do not get. See, we got a little bit out of shape on the exit. We had to lift off the accelerator initially, if I can speak correctly. But if you have a look down on the radar, I've got the Peugeot in my slipstream. That car, absolutely amazing in a straight line, absolute beast. He looks up the inside through turn 1. That is not the place, and I think he just grazed the wall slightly, so it just drops him back a little bit, allowing me to just take the racing line through turn 2 there. That front wheel drive Peugeot as well is going to be absolutely shocking on the exit of this slow corner, so we're not able to lose a position there. I'm going to skip ahead slightly, heading into turn 1 of lap 4, heading around the corner now. Someone's absolutely binned it, and it is Nabs. Absolute karma, mate. Obviously we don't like to see people make mistakes, but if you're going to pump me off the circuit, you leave yourself susceptible to be the subject of many spicy memes, which we do so in that particular position, getting absolutely wrecked by the barrier on the exit of turn 1. But that finds us up in 4th. We've got a nice battle brewing between the Honda and the Audi up in 2nd and 3rd position. Have a look on the entry to the final corner. The Honda turns in very late. Look at that. I kind of got a little bit caught on his back bumper there because I was kind of not really wanting to go for that move, so I was like, I'll just let him turn in, but he really turned in really late, and that's going to be, you know, that's going to prove to be an interesting prospect a little bit later in the race. Here, as you see, we just turned in a little bit too early for turn 3 there, and we get very out of shape as we're very wide on the exit of 3, which leads us narrow for 4, and you see we slide into the wall, and that Honda makes his move back up into 3rd position, but then he makes kind of a similar mistake going really wide on the entry to turn 15, and you see he grazes the gravel and loses all his speed down the straight, so he was taking a little bit of an incorrect line through the braking zone of the final corner. You see, next time I go through there, just have a look at how I position my car. It's, you know, a little bit more narrow towards the final corner. It's got a quite slow apex as well, so you can kind of get away with that. Coming through turn 10, Audi gets a poor run, grazing the grass in the entry, and then we're going to head through the flip-flop once again. Slow corners, and especially this acceleration zone through turn 12 is going to be absolutely shocking for front-wheel drive cars, as they're just going to understeer and spin their tyres up. Whereas I think it was an MR car, this McLaren is, much more planted on the rear end. You can lean on the car quite significantly, especially through that acceleration zone of that quite tight turn 12, and you see outright we just get that move done through turn 13, and he backed right out of it through 14, finds us up in 2nd, and ultimately that's where we finish the race, 8 seconds off the leader. So it's quite clear to me that the leader there was quite dominant. You see, he's also in the McLaren, so it's quite clear how that this McLaren could be quite up there. And you see another significant increase in driver rating there, 43,500 about, or thereabouts there. Increase of just under 1,000. So we get a 1-star result there. Not a clean race, as there was a little bit of contact at the start, thanks to Nabs, and then not a win, obviously. We didn't get the fastest lap. We're going to move on, but you see how we're going to go for another race here. My DR is increasing quite significantly. I started, the session where I did this combination on about 40,000 DR, and you see after, I think I've done 3 races actually. I only recorded. I lost the footage for the first one because I absolutely bottled the saving of it, and I absolutely messed that up. But not to worry, I've got a few more races for you. But yeah, you see how quickly my driver rating's increased. We're on 43,000. Of course, 50,000 is A+ rating. We're going to come through the start of this race now, heading through turn 1. We all get through here nicely, but I look behind, and this poor chap here, he is seeing some very familiar faces, and is going to be seeing his face firmly into the brick barrier on the inside of turn 1. Not quite getting the flow correct. Of course, on the first lap, you are going slower, but your tyres are not up to temperature, so you probably will understeer a bit more. I'm going to skip ahead. Not much happened through the first half of the lap, but a lot is happening through the flip-flop here, as we're going to see some very hashtag R4M moves here. Peugeot just returning the favour on the Ferrari there as we head through there, so that Peugeot, of course, can just understeer straight into the Ferrari there. That to me is fair game, as the Ferrari initiated that. Final corner, Ferrari absolutely turns in. I just put that R4M, RAM for money, rain effect there. That wasn't quite an R4M, as the corner was quite clearly mine, and I was well alongside, but just thought it was funny. Ferrari turned in, and then we see adios to my friend Nabs, absolutely getting destroyed. And you see on the exit, I do actually knock him off the track a bit, but he went deep. So as far as I'm concerned, that corner was mine. Absolutely adios amigo there. Hopefully that's enough. Surely we'll just ease up on Nabs a bit here. I think I'm roasting him a bit too hard. But heading through the flip-flop here, this is what we're seeing. So the Peugeot had a bit of understeer there. He gets a poor exit. Looking up the inside, you see this was a move we did on the Audi before, so those front-wheel drive cars are going to struggle out wide through turn 13 and in narrow for 14, and I'm on the inside for 15. Quite a textbook move through the final S's little, not really chicane, but the series of corners on the end of the lap. And then he didn't even take my slipstream down the straight, so that was quite firmly that position gained. We're going to have a look up ahead on the straight now. These two cars side by side, way up in the distance, heading through turn 1, are obviously not quite what you want to be doing. Turn 1, very much a single file corner. They run side by side through turn 1. My goodness, that is risky, and it proves to be such, as the Viper, driven by I Am Awesome 101, succumbs to another attack on the wall on the exit of turn 1, and he gets absolutely displaced down into 4th position, and we find ourselves up in 3rd thanks to that. But ultimately we finished in 3rd in this one, so we've had a 1st, we've had a 2nd, we've had a 3rd. It's quite clear where this is going, but hopefully we can break that tendencies. You see our driver rating up to 44,300 now, so you see how quickly I'm building this driver rating thanks to this daily race C here, and we're going to find ourselves up 3 positions. A great race that time. We had door number 5 on our car. You see that on the bonnet of the Vodafone McLaren 650S. So, of course, finishing higher than you start, and then especially higher than your car number, you're going to be getting quite significant DR increases, which is what we're seeing here. Next race here, we find ourselves qualifying in 4th position, still with a 149.0, and we see I Am Awesome 101, he's qualified in 2nd with a slightly quicker lap time. He's actually decided to choose the McLaren 650S, as it was quite clear that he was getting a little bit sort of, not really pushed around, but he was getting shown what for by the McLarens, and as he was trying to stick with his slightly unorthodox choice of the Dodge Viper, but he has fallen into the clutches of what is the Gran Turismo balance of performance at certain circuits, and has gone for one of the OP cars. McLaren 650S. Start this race, let's get through turn 1. We've got a Jaguar up in 3rd, something we haven't seen before. I think that's another McLaren in pole position as well. We're going to head through turn 1 nice and cleanly. Braking into turn 2, the Jaguar does brake slightly early, and I've no other choice but to dive up the inside. And actually, fair play to that Jaguar as well. If you're just having a look on the radar as we head through turn 2 there, he turned into the corner. Notice I was there and turned out of it. See, his arrow did a little bit of a jiggle as I went up the inside, down on the radar. So fair play to the Jaguar there, and he goes down into 5th, but I mean, I felt he broke early. No contact, I'm going to keep this position here. Heading up through turn 6, very close to that apex of turn 6 on the brakes for turn 7. Right-hander heading out onto a straight. McLaren just clips the grass there. We're going to follow this battle with I'm Awesome as well for a few laps to see. We're going to do the thing. We're going to try and study where this opponent is weak. We're going to try and craft an overtake through the section where he's weak. So keep an eye on that while I continue to talk. Braking into turn 10. We're going to try and roll the speed through turn 10 as I'm Awesome rolls a little bit too much speed and gets a poor exit. And then we're going to head up towards the flip-flop, braking into turn 11 shortly. I'm Awesome brakes really early, a little bit too early, in kind of a diagonal towards the outside of the circuit where I had positioned my car, and it just gets a little bit awkward through there, and we're not able to keep positions there. We dropped down into 6th position. That was kind of, I don't think he did that on purpose. It was kind of a racing incident, but yeah, he was kind of braking diagonally, just closing off that gap. Quite a similar manoeuvre to what we saw at Nürburgring GP in that FIA Nations Cup. I think the video was called Good Enough For Me, where I kind of ran out of space in the braking zone towards that final chicane by another opponent there. Kind of similar to that, kind of similar to this incident here, but I'm not quite sure the McLaren in this case did that deliberately. Almost completely bin it through turn 1 as we just clipped the barrier on the exit of turn 1. Into turn 2, you see Nabs is back up to his old tricks again, punting the Peugeot to absolute oblivion, getting himself a 3-second penalty, and I think there's a car up in 2nd place with a 1-second penalty. So Nabs, this is what I mean. This is twice he's done it now. Whether it's an accident or not, he's punted someone off the circuit and kept the position. Kepi GT here is quite slow. Up the inside through turn 6, side by side through turn 6. That's fair play, fair driving here. But he just, unfortunately, slides deep up the inside of turn 7. I'll get that position made up there. So that's fair play. I'm actually going to say Kepi GT, shout out to him. We've not featured much in the video here, but he has shown that he can have some good racing here. But the pair up ahead are going to serve their penalties. Goodbye to Nabs once again. Good riddance, as he clearly doesn't know good sportsmanship. Absolute mystery of the universe as to why he's in S-rated, as I'm not really seeing S-rated sportsmanship from him. But I'm Awesome was the second car up in 2nd that had the penalties. We're going to find ourselves racing him again, sticking to the slipstream down the straight, just weaving a little bit to try and break that slipstream. That, of course, is fine, not being used as a defensive manoeuvre, just being used to break the slipstream, which of course is fair game, and it's absolutely fine to do. Through turn 1, taking it nice and easy through there, rolling off the throttle on the entry and getting back on the throttle on the exit, so as to not push the car too much into the braking zone for turn 2. We catch up a little bit of ground, nice and tight to that apex, slight bit of oversteer from this lovely McLaren here. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You get onto the power really early, because that slight bit of oversteer just compensates. Turning slightly too early for turn 3, but not as bad as we did race previous, where we completely lost that position to the Honda, if you remember that clearly. Braking into turn 7. I'm Awesome takes a nice line on the entry, but actually misses the apex quite significantly, so perhaps he can be weak down this straight here. Just going to keep an eye on that, because obviously if you can get a better run through the preceding corner, you're going to be getting a good run down the straight, and hopefully that means we can get side by side on the entry to turn 10. So this is what I'm talking about. We're going to be using the circuit to our advantage here. Just look at the parts of the track where you can potentially get overtakes. He's slow through the middle of turn 10, gets a slightly better exit than me. Hopefully we don't see a repeat manoeuvre of turn 11. He makes his intentions slightly more clear here, firmly over to that right hand side, so whether he braked early, I had to go up the inside if he did that on that particular occasion. But we get through there nicely this time. McLaren just sits down on the exit of turn 12, get that power down onto the ground. Heading through 13, and then into 14, into the final corner. It just gets a little bit of a wiggle on, and just misses the apex slightly. Gets a poor run down the straight. This is going to be my chance here. Going to duck into the slipstream of the McLaren, whacks on his hazards lights. That tells me, that communicates to me that he's going to be complying with this overtake here, side by side, heading down the main straight. He's going to have to back out at this point. I've got the position off him. He does just slot in the head as we begin the entry to turn 1 here. So if you have a look there, look behind, and he bins it into the wall. That's going to be us up into second position there, and let's see if we can just get to the end of this race nice and quickly here. On the exit of turn 2, it's quite clear I've got ahead of I'm Awesome, but we're going to have a look at the final lap because we're going to see something interesting. Now, have a look on the times, the lap times on the right-hand side of your screen as we speak. Last 4 laps have all been in the 149s. That is quite good race pace there. You see the leader is on a bit of another level at this point here with a 149.2 fastest lap. But if you were paying attention to my pace throughout this video, it was all in the 150s. And finally in this final race here, I've managed to get that into the 149. So all these races here, it's all practice, and eventually you start to get a bit more in tune with the car, you get a bit more in tune with the track combination, knowing where you can push, knowing where you have to hold back, and that of course can lead to those quicker lap times which we're seeing there. So I suspect maybe if I kept going, I probably could have contended with this guy up in first place here, but we just decided, you know, I left it at this race here. We're going to see the result in driver rating at the end as well, and I think it was a nice position to stop. As this leader, you know, 7 seconds ahead. If we have a look at the lap times there, say all of my laps were 149s, we've got lap 3, 4, 5, all 50s, say we just shaved a second each off those, which is a tall order because there's 50.0s there. 49 zeros, absolutely rapid lap pace there, quicker than the leader. That's still only 3 seconds. We had a bit of a fight, and we did have, you know, a bit of an accident as well on the entry to turn 11 on the first lap with I Am Awesome. So that probably cost us probably another 3 seconds. So look, there's 6 seconds there, and through the final corner, we've just caught up a little bit of ground to him actually. Remember, we were 7.2 seconds behind the leader at one point in the lap, if you were paying attention. We're now just under 7, it just goes back above 7 as he gets a slightly better exit. But ultimately, come across the line, second position, nice little battle there. I just forget where we qualified for this one. It might have been 4th? I think it was 4th. I think it's there was the Jaguar up in 3rd, and then I'm Awesome in 2nd. Driver rating 45,000 at this point. So we, throughout the course of this combination here, got our driving rating up by 5,000 performance points, which I think is a nice increase there, and it puts me firmly, firmly on the road to A+. Once you hit 50,000, that's A+ DR. How good? How good? But I do hope you enjoyed that one. That was a nice, interesting combination with some good, quick, clean, hard, fair racing. Well, the clean is a little bit questionable. Probably not clean 100% of the time, but most of the time if you round up. But that's going to be the end of this one today. I do hope you enjoyed. Do hit that like button if you did, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.